Let's start with Jacob. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey Jordan, how's it going?
How are you, Jacob? I'm doing well.
I can't complain. Um, and I think that's the mindset during a pandemic, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So we got a bit of an update from Coach Shaw about you getting healthy and ramping up your activity and practice. I wondered about your perspective on that, how active you've been, and overall just trying to make progress during a really weird off season.
Yeah. I think that I'm progressing back really well. Definitely was a bummer dealing with that, but I feel like I'm ramping up right in enough time as we start up for the season. Just happy to get back out there with my teammates, my brothers, and be playing this great game that we love. So just fired up and excited to be back out there as I ramp up more and more with the team.
And one follow up for me, you know, guys come back from going all over the place to get work done and everything. Um, did anyone kind of open your eyes a bit that once you saw them after a while, you could see that they'd made a lot of progress?
Um, I would say a lot of guys on the defense during that time off of dealing with coronavirus, where we were at home and we had to do our individual workouts with the strength training staff of Coach Carroll. We saw a lot of big changes coming back. Jonathan McGill, just one of them, Kendall Williamson, a lot of young guys, Toby Umera at the outside linebacker position, Stephen Herron. So a lot of young guys in terms of building their bodies and taking that next step in the off season. So it was really exciting seeing that.
Let's go over to RJ Abadia. Go ahead, RJ.
Hey, Jordan. There's been a lot of talk, it seems, about every position group on the defense except you guys at the outside linebacker spot. And I'm just kind of curious, when you look back at last season in terms of generating a pass rush, what were kind of the big takeaways and what are kind of the steps you guys are taking to be more of a factor with that this year?
Yeah, at that outside linebacker position, definitely having more emphasis on winning that one-on-one battle, getting after and infecting that quarterback on first and second down and not just on third and long. So making that more of an emphasis this offseason, working on different pass rush moves, beating those big tackles one-on-one has been our biggest thing in terms of, we have to affect that quarterback and we got to be a dominating force on this defense at the outside linebacker position.
And Coach Anderson has talked about maybe simplifying some things for you guys so that you can play faster and be more aggressive. Is that something that's reached your specific position group at this point?
I would say as a whole defense, structure, installing and putting in our defense through the tough times of this coronavirus and starting up late ramp up period. So I would definitely say it has touched us across the board, the whole defense, outside linebacker, inside linebackers, every position group in terms of simplifying it so we can just take that next step of just playing a lot faster, not thinking as much and just going. So I've seen that a little bit and I think it will help us.
And then just last football thing for me, your impressions so far of Walter Rouse at left tackle, and are there any other offensive guys at any position who have kind of gotten your attention as a defender?
Yeah. So Walter Rouse was a baby coming in as a freshman and had to grow up real quick and step up as left tackle due to Walker Little going down. So first year under his belt, I definitely think that he handled his own. He's gotten a lot better, a lot stronger, a lot quicker, his hand speed and everything. So I'm confident in him going into his second year as a left tackle starter, and a great year coming up for him. And then other offensive guys, I know you guys have heard all our big, strong wide receiving core that everybody's talking about, that have a lot of playmakers in that group. But running backs wise, Austin Jones, Nate Pete, see flashes there, a lot of speed, a lot of quickness, and then ready to see our boy Davis Mills go out and do his thing. So I'm excited for the offensive side.
Thanks, Jordan.
Let's go over to Rusty Simmons. Rusty, go ahead.
Hey, Jordan, I was going to ask you about Malik Antoine, who's been, I guess some of the coaches have said that he could coach up almost every position on the defensive side now. Tell me anything that you've seen from him and kind of his understanding of the game.
Yeah. Malik's knowledge of the game is unbelievable. Top to bottom, him being a safety, making those calls every single play, him as a leader, his vocal tone, the way that he demands us and gets us in the right spot all the time, has been shown and seen. He's been playing a lot of football in his team, in tough games and great situations, hostile environments. So he's seen it, he knows it, and we trust him with that. So yeah, he's a very knowledgeable young person, does well on and off the field in schoolwork. So he's one of the big time leaders on our team as a captain.
You mentioned an important thing there. You said trust. Is that something that's earned on the field, off the field, both?
I think it's both, and it comes and it gets better and strengthened in practice. When you trust your other people that you're working out with on that field and trying to get a successful job and goal done, you have to trust one another. You do your 1/11th on the field, you do your job, your assignment over and over again, so you can see those defensive results and team results.
And I just caught the end of your last comment before I was questioning, and you talked about Davis Mills and that receiver crew. I know you're on the other side, but what do you think is possible for the offense this year?
I think the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit for the offensive side. Scoring a lot of points, breaking guys off in space, running the ball, offensive line, smacking guys in the mouth. Really, sky's the limit for the offense. I'm excited.
Thanks so much.
Let's go to Jacob Rayburn. Jacob, go ahead.
Hey, Jordan, you mentioned Toby, and I'm curious what you've seen from him this offseason, this camp. He's got a lot of physical tools that are pretty loud. He's had some bad luck with health and being able to play. What have you seen from Jordan specifically this camp?
Yeah, I would definitely say just him getting off the ball, him setting physical edges. You guys see his size. He's around 6'3", 260 around right now. Got a lot stronger, put on a lot more muscle this offseason. But his knowledge of the game is definitely increased in learning the defense. And then also just knowing where he needs to be, whether he needs to be setting edge on this player or coming inside for C gap. He's knowing those things now, and he's executing at a high level. So just that consistency and stuff I've seen through him as he's grown as a player.
Thanks, Jordan.
Have time for two last ones. We'll start with RJ and then finish with Rusty. Go ahead, RJ.
So, Jordan, obviously this offseason has included a lot of team conversations, not about football. And Davis talked about how, there was a lot of things that kind of opened his eyes up in talking to his teammates, as you deal with a lot of the social injustice issues. I'm just curious from your perspective, as a person of color, what has been some of the more important messaging or takeaways that you've been able to pass on to non-people of color, whether it's teammates or anybody else, about understanding what's happening in our society right now?
Yeah. So in spite of the tragic news of George Floyd and all the police brutality that has come across our nation over the series of past years. I think the first thing was, as a team, as a Black man, and dealing with everything going on, was coming together as a team, having these tough conversations, knowing that I can rely on my other white brother that is on my team, that understand, to know and empathize with what I'm going through and what is going on in the world. And I think that was the biggest and toughest thing, is having these tough conversations, for somebody as of color to go and witness this and be somebody that could succumb to these things, really just expose my other teammates to, like, this is the reality. This is what we live every single day. And, you know, that them being able to listen to that brought us together, as a team, had a lot of big initiatives going forward in terms of the steps that we need to take for change. So I feel like, in spite of all the craziness and wildness going on in the world, it brought us together as a team.
Thanks, Jordan.
We'll finish with a question from Rusty Simmons. Rusty, go ahead.
Yeah, Jordan, you guys last year went through more injuries than anybody could imagine. How do you look at that this year? Is it a good thing that those players went through the experience? Is it a bad thing that you have to try to battle back from that? How do you look at it?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as, last year, I mean, we faced a couple bad series of events, just unlucky in some circumstances of those guys getting hurt, and coming into this season. It's like we got those guys back that were that went down, and now we have them back to be big time contributors on our team, and big time role players on our team. So it's more, you know, we're happy to happy to have all those guys back, but also eager to, you know, stay healthy and do the right things to keep our body intact.
And then just a super general question. At the end of the year, when people talk about Stanford defense, what do you want the identity to be?
Yeah, definitely want to be a fast, physical defense that creates turnovers, that we wreak havoc, play after play, and we're playing that Stanford defense that everybody knows.
Thank you, Jordan.
Cool. Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate the time. Thank you, RJ and Rusty, for joining.
Appreciate it.
Talk to y'all later.